Today, the Porsche 356 numbers among the truly classic sports cars. In 1948, it became the first automobile to proudly bear the Porsche name. Before then, Ferdinand Porsche had developed cars for various other brands at the Porsche design and engineering firm he'd founded in 1931 in Stuttgart. But our classic car expert Christoph Bauer tells us that the first Porsche wasn't actually built in Stuttgart, but in the Austrian town of Gmünd. Near the end of the Second World War, the company had moved its entire operations there to escape the constant bombing raids. And the 356 wasn't the brainchild of patriarch Ferdinand Porsche. Rather, it was his son Ferry who created the sports car out of VW parts. His father praised Ferry's work and said he wouldn't change a single screw. Ferdinand Porsche was one of the auto industry's pioneers. Starting in 1897, he developed electric and hybrid engines, an all-wheel drive model, and trend-setting mid-engined race cars like the Austro-Daimler Sascha and the Auto Union Silver Arrow. Not to mention the legendary Volkswagen Beetle. The first Porsche that Ferry designed together with his father's committed team of engineers was based on the VW Bug. Christoph tells us that early versions of the Porsche 356 had a souped-up Beetle engine under the hood, which barely produced 40 horsepower. That's not really enough for a sports car, but he says it's fun all the same. The car's clever aerodynamics and lightweight construction let it reach 140 kilometers an hour. During the 17 years the 356 was produced, Porsche continued to make improvements. This Super 90 convertible from 1960 is among the most fully perfected versions. Its 1.6-liter 90-horsepower engine is over twice as powerful as the motor in the original 356. Christoph says the rattling sounds the car makes while warming up remind him a lot of the VW Beetle. But the Boxer engine shows its true colors when the tachometer reaches around 3,000 RPM. Then things really get moving. And it can hungrily progress to 5,500 revolutions per minute. He could become addicted to the sound too. It makes him want a double D-clutch, even when he really doesn't need to. Christoph feels that the Porsche 356 is not only a blast to drive, it's a feast for the senses too. The Bakelite steering wheel, the leather seats, these buttons here, everything gives you the impression of being made to last. The car's body was designed by engineer Erwin Komenda, who'd already given shape to Auto Union's Grand Prix sports cars and the VW Beetle. Christoph says the 356 is a true milestone in automotive history that formed the basis for Porsche's design language. He says any new 911 is really just a modern variant of the 356.
Dann ist er eigentlich auch nichts anderes als eine moderne Variante des 356.
Its face is immediately recognizable. The round headlights and prominent wings have essentially become part of Porsche's DNA. The gently sloping rear is also a Porsche specialty, although the teardrop aerodynamic design is now seen as dated. The ignition is found to the left of the steering wheel. The tachometer is centrally located, and the ergonomics are stellar. These features Porsche drivers have come to know and love all came from the 356.
Das Herz des 356
Christoph says the heart of the 356 can be found back here. While the first 356s used Beetle engines, this one was already fitted with a 4-cylinder, 1.6-liter Porsche Boxer engine. It boasts underhead cams and generates 90 horsepower, in part thanks to these two Solex carburetors. The standard engines had 60 and 75 horsepower. There was a 130 horsepower variant with a very complicated vertical shaft engine, but he says this here is the finest one you can get. The Boxer engines are viewed as reliable and long-lasting. Then, as now, Porsches are often known as sensible sports cars, which makes them unique. Christoph says that when Porsche announced it would be introducing a successor model, fans and automotive journalists claimed that a new Porsche could never outdo the old 356. Well, the 911 has certainly made more than a few friends over the years, and as the forefather of the 911 and the first Porsche ever, the 356 is definitely an automotive milestone.
Definitiv ein Meilenstein der Automobilgeschichte.
Today, it's still a pleasure to take a 356 convertible out for a spin. After the 356 was discontinued in 1965, Porsche buyers had to wait until 1982 for the introduction of the 911 convertible, until they could once again feel the wind in their hair.